Hello, everybody. Welcome to the closing session. Wrapping up today with Michael and I just want to get some ideas from everybody and talking about what were your main takeaways for today. We'd really like to hear from you as well. So um, if you can type into the discussion any kind of thoughts that have come up or any kind of takeaways or anything that you're going to implement at your work after this conference, we'd love to hear from you. So just type that in the discussion. The other thing, before I circle back to those, I did ask, we had that virtual idea board up this whole conference, and some people took the time to write down some thoughts, and I think there's some really great things that I would like to remember myself. The one that got the most votes on that virtual idea board was finding a third place to relax and just be a person outside of home and work. And I think Michelle was the one that said that in our plenary yesterday, and I thought that was amazing because it's true. I think a lot of times we're just home and working home and there's no place for self. And so that was a really interesting one. Another one that got voted up was the term writability instead of readability on Cheryl Stevens' poster stood out to me as an interesting focus for writing. I think that, there was a lot of someone else, but going beyond individual autonomy to ensure informed refusal through meaningful dialogue. And I think that was a theme that kept coming up, reoccurring, was that humanistic approach. We heard it earlier today in Farrah's session. If you attended David DeLeon's about community engagement, that was the core of it, was how you bring people into an initiative or a coalition, understanding, finding that common goal and finding out how to get them in the room was all part of that humanistic approach as well. And so, Michael, what are some thoughts or some things you want to throw in here?
Sure. Well, first of all, I just want to echo Diane's thanks for everybody for being here. We really appreciate it. This is a way for just the whole health literacy community, or at least a part of the health literacy community, to kind of come together and really share some thoughts, ideas, to learn, to share, to listen to one another, to network. But I think one of the key messages that I really took away from this conference was that we, as a community, as a discipline, health literacy, we really can't operate in a silo. We can't operate in a vacuum. We really need to reach out and collaborate with other disciplines, other organizations. Dave DeLeon said it very well when he said, you'll be amazed at what you can do when you sit down in a room with a lot of different people who are, represent other different areas and just start talking about what the problem is. Nobody, one person has to solve any problem by themselves. It's really a matter of what we bring to that discussion, what we bring to that problem solving. And health literacy, with a goal of achieving health equity and access and social justice, all these things that we really strive to do, I think is a critical component of bringing all of those stakeholders together. We can be that voice. We don't have to be the absolute end-all solution, but we can be a part of that solution. And so I think it's really important that we do that. And again, as Diana mentioned, one of the things that we really wanted to make sure that we accomplished with this conference was to allow all of us just to sort of take what I've always called just a pause. It's like, all right, we're rushing from one meeting to another, from one day to the next, from one task to the next. But we really have to take care of ourselves, because if we don't take care of ourselves, if we don't bring the best version of ourselves to our work, it's kind of like bringing a half-empty dish to the party, right? We want to make sure that we really look inside and really take care and really reflect and make sure that we are doing everything that we can for ourselves, because ultimately that's a ripple effect that really spills out over into our work, into our family, and just our own psyche and our own conscience. So I hope in yesterday's program, there was a lot of really good information, and I hope you were able to take down some of those ideas and that you really put some of those into action. One of the other things that I have always, and look, I've been around since the beginning, and I've been probably the only one who's been to all 21 of these conferences. One of the things that I've always stressed and always wanted to make sure that we did was not to have this conference be something where we go and it's like, wow, that's great, and then take the binder and put it on the shelf and then forget about it. And then 3 years later, when we're doing spring cleaning, we throw it out. So we will really try to continue on with this the sense of how do we continue the work here. We've had a few folks, Damaso Reyes, after his session, we had a really great talk. He's very interested in collaborating and working with us. He's from the News Literacy Project. Is that correct, Anna? Yeah.
Correct.
And then Dave DeLeon, who's from the city of La Habra, he's getting ready to retire, and he's really good at that whole community engagement. How do you engage different groups, pillars, stakeholders within your community? So we've had a number of people who have really said, hey, we would love to continue working with you. And we have a platform, the Health Literacy Solution Center, that we can use as a collaborative work site for a lot of these projects. So if you have some ideas, doesn't have to be today, but if you really say, you know, I learned a good smidgen from that one presentation, but I would love to continue that dialogue, that conference, email Diana, email me, let us know. We would be happy to work with you and see what we can do to continue on with some of these things and just continue to move the needle forward. You know, one thing that I'm very proud of, well, first of all, a couple of things. This conference was 100% Diana Pena Gonzalez work and her vision. She was the one who designed this entire conference. So just a big virtual hand clap to Diana for that. You know, one of the things that she accomplished this year that we have been trying hard to do, but we've fallen a little bit short every year, is to make sure that that speaker roster is a very diverse roster. And I was telling Diana just a couple of minutes before we went on, I went through the list of the speaker list, and I think there was only 2 old white men, me included as one of them, who were speakers. And that's, I got to tell you, that's a huge change from what you see in a lot of conferences and for who we used to be before. I just thought it was a very diverse group, which brought a lot of different voices and perspectives. And I have to tell you, I just could not be happier about that. So kudos to Diana, and thank you to all the speakers who contributed to that. And you know, one other thing that I wanted to mention before I turn it over to Diana, one of our very good close friends and mentor for both Diana and myself is Rima Rudd. And one of the things that and she was the moderator for our session this morning. And one of the things that Rima talks about and has written about is this notion of dignified exchanges. And I have to tell you, every time she uses that phrase, it stays with me. And I've had a chance to really reflect on that. And I think, you know, what is the power of a dignified exchange? You know, I think it really speaks to this notion of respect. I think it speaks to this notion of equity and, you know, and justice and just a spirit of wanting to listen and move things forward. And I'm reminded of the, you know, so we really have to start that. Well, we have to continue demonstrating. We've been doing that, but we really have to continue demonstrating that and be those among us who encourage the dignified exchanges in everything we do. And we have to be the models for that. I'm reminded of the quote, if not now, when, and if not me, who? So we have to be the ones when, especially we heard this so much on our first day, that the exchanges that we see in the media, in social media, in just our in-person exchanges can become quite fractious and can become quite disrespectful. And we need to put a hard stop to that. Because I think the only way that we can really move forward in a respectful, meaningful, purposeful way is to make sure that we are the ones who are pushing those dignified exchanges. So my thanks to Rima for that. One last piece, and then I'm going to toss it over to Diana for about 5 seconds. You know, one of the things we've been doing this conference since the pandemic hit, we've been doing this conference virtually, and I made the decision at the beginning to not charge tuition. I got a lot of pushback from some of the folks on our staff, especially the folks who are in charge of the money. But we really talked it out, and we really came to an agreement that a lot of folks, when this pandemic hit, were put in a very a difficult position. A lot of you lost your jobs. Certainly travel to conferences was not really an option. And a lot of companies really cut the education budget. We thought, you know what, this is something that we are able to do. And so let's do that. And what we did was we adopted a model where we said, we're not going to charge tuition, but we would really kindly, respectfully ask everybody to make a donation in lieu of that registration fee. If you had been able to afford the registration fee, then maybe take a part of that and make a charitable contribution. So two things. Number one, if you'd like to do that, if you've already done it, if you want to donate a little more, or if you haven't, I would really just ask you to please do that. If you go to the home screen on the conference site, and there's a button that says Start Here, and if you click on that and just scroll down, it'll walk you through how to do that. And there's a list of 6 or 7 charitable organizations that are doing some really, really good work that's in alignment with our conference theme this year. I have to say I was a little disappointed. We did collect about $10,000. That's down from about $32,000 that we collected last year. So for those of you who donated, thank you very much. For those of you who didn't, or who only donated a small amount, if you are able, I would just respectfully ask you, please dig in, throw a few bucks those guys' way, because they could really use it. And so now I'm going to turn it over to Diana Pena Gonzalez to share some of her takeaways.
Yeah, yes, thank you, Michael. So I think something that I noticed was yesterday, one of the presenters said, type in the chat box where you're from and if you experienced burnout. And if you're in that session, and if you're like me and you're just nosy to see where everyone's coming from in their professions, you notice that there was a wide range of people coming from all kinds of professions. And I did not see one person say that they did not experience burnout. Most people said they experienced burnout. Or they left the question blank, they didn't answer it, or but no one said that they didn't experience it. And I thought that moment was just so moving for me in a sense, because I'm a really visual person, and it reminded me of like one of those iconic, old, or just like a war movie where there's the underdog and they're understaffed, underfunded, no capacity, they're kind of burned, they're bruised, but they showed up because they believed in the cause. And that's exactly who I felt like I was, arm in arm with my community, my countrymen, here for a cause, because we believe that health literacy matters. And we believe that clear and effective information is a right for people. And we're here to show up to fight for that right and get resources and take that back to our communities. And so that was, I think, something that really stood out to me and really moved me when I see everybody just engaging in the conversation and kind of saying, yeah, me too, I feel that way too. And so I think that was amazing. Just to go back to some of the comments that you guys are throwing in here, and I think that some people really liked that interpreter session that we had yesterday. I agree. She did a great job of really talking about different cultures and cultural humility, and I think that was amazing. The hardwiring session that we just had with Farah, people seemed to really like that session as well. Someone really liked that rejuvenation that we had yesterday, and I think that was kind of like we're just going to go with it. It's mental health, kind of a new one for us, but I think it was something that really resonated and worked out. And so we'd love to hear your thoughts as well about that rejuvenation on Wednesday. If you how those sessions worked out for you. If you'd like to hear more about that mental health field and that kind of side of things, we would definitely like to hear your feedback on that. Someone mentioned that not only did you have diverse speakers, but also very interesting, eye-opening conference. A number of diverse topics. Thank you. We really did try to incorporate different diverse topics in this as well. So I think we are at the time now to close and lock up the doors and go home. Michael, did you want to add? Oh, thank you. Did you want to throw something?
Yes, absolutely. First of all, as I said, my personal thanks to Diana for designing a really excellent experience. Thank you to all of you, all of the attendees. We really appreciate you guys being here. We hope this has brought some value. I mean, that's why we're here, is to really support and help you to achieve your mission, your goals, your everything that you do. Thank you to all of the speakers who were all awesome. And then I think for Diana and me, two people that we really want to thank are, again, our good friend Rima Rudd for all of her wise counsel and input and contributions to everything that we do. And one person who was supposed to join us and was not able to, Janet Oheni Frempong, sending our love and support. And we sure miss you. We wish you were here. We will be virtual again next year. We're doing that because we can just we can really provide this conference to so many people. Normally there's about 300 or 350 people at the in-person conference. This year we had more than 1,700 people sign up. And so at least for next year, we will be virtual again, and we'll see what the world looks like at that point. And if things start to change, we will change along with them. But for now, that's where we are. So Diana, I'll let you have last word.
I want to give a big thank you to Scarlett Flores, who is none of the speakers would be in their Zoom sessions if it wasn't for Scarlett. And Mario is our the one and only IT guy, and so none of this would have been pulled off without Mario and Malia. And I would like to wrap up with a big thank you to you, the participants. We were just talking about this, that there's no way that someone is just sitting here just watching intently for this session. We're all juggling a lot. We're all dealing with a lot. There's likelihood you were trying to get dinner ready and also listen to a session, or had to hire a babysitter so that you can attend our conference. And so we appreciate that, and we see you. And at a time when energy and time is such at a premium, we appreciate you making that time and participating in the session. So with that, thank you for attending, and we'll hope to see you next year.
Thanks, everybody. Bye-bye.